The booster course pass for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has been quite the success, so we're looking back at all changes and differences made for the returning courses in Wave 1 of the DLC. The second race of the Golden Dash Cup is 3DS Toad Circuit. Overseen by a big crowd, this traditional track is mildly mushroom themed, featuring giant toad balloons, several off-road shortcuts, and a timed glide ramp for soaring over a bridge. So how does the most recent update differ from past installments? Let's find out. Toad Circuit was the initial course for Mario Kart 7, being simple and easy to navigate. It was revamped for Tour with improved graphics, but it also was used, with modifications, for the tutorial and practicing while downloading updates, making it the introductory home track for 2 games. Fitting the theme of the first new cup for 8 Deluxe, the course returns again with several minor adjustments from its mobile model. A few gameplay changes exist even from the start. The base of the gate here was widened in Tour, narrowing the area, and the rest of the edges were switched from blue and gold checks to off-road grass, extending beyond the spot. At the bend ahead is the first toad balloon, grounded by a stake with rocks added nearby in Tour. These balloons had several stakes each in the original, and the actual mushrooms here were bouncy, repelling vehicles upon impact. But ever since Tour, they act just like any other environmental element. Tires can be found inside the wide bend now, serving as light obstacles. An MKTV van, the first of 3, is seen parked in the off-road to the left after the signposts. Originally after the chevron signs were a group of 3 mushrooms. The squat type was removed in Tour, and the neighboring fungi were adjusted a bit. The glide ramp at that point would rise in time for lap 2, but in 7 it rose at about 39 seconds. Now it rises at approximately 33 seconds instead. And just before the underpass in the latest version, more tires can be seen stacked to the left and right sides. The central barrier between the bridge pillars from 3DS has been removed since Tour. Another MKTV van is positioned just before the tunnel too. After the tunnel, the curb to the left is raised like in Tour, but it was flat originally. Lastly, the final chevron sign was removed and the one before it was pushed closer to the sand when compared to 7. That was a short list. But the list of aesthetic changes is much longer. With Tour's renovation, cliffs throughout were reshaped. Grass on them and at ground level is much lighter than before, no longer featuring texture or the wavy crown-like pattern at the edges. The white trim at the edges of the whole road also was removed. Small plants everywhere were replaced by grass clumps, albeit in different spots. At the same time, the numerous trees shifted positions slightly. In the latest version, the tier shades of all of these trees were inverted. Small plants and flowers were added off-road as well. Along the horizon, the hills became fewer in number for Tour, with the squiggly lines straightened and made to spiral the other direction. These hills seemingly were adjusted a bit in enlarged sense. The cloud formations in the sky remained the same between Tour and Switch, but they were unique in the original. Looking over at the starting line banner, we see that it was redesigned for Tour with its gradient logo made flat, with checks switching from black and white to yellow and orange. Less noticeably, the checks of the starting line itself were reduced from 23x3 to 22x3. The central line also was trimmed to no longer touch. These marking details are the same even now, but the banner framework was tweaked a bit with some bolts added to it all. Originally, confetti fell near the start after about 18 to 19 seconds, but no confetti could be found in Tour. Confetti falls once again, now for every lap. The grandstands in this area were redesigned significantly for the Tour update, dividing the tiered sections evenly and adjusting various elements. The chain link fence became more basic railing on extruded blue trim, a design accent that other rebuilt structures were given to match, like the garage and side buildings on the opposite side. At the same time, the darkened garage doors were given depth too. All Nintendo signs in the area were swapped for Mario Kart signs, with the one in the center of the garage building repositioned. This was moved again for 8 Deluxe, and all of the signs were altered in style a bit. There are twice as many stadium lights now, and railing on blue trim has been added to the back of the grandstands. The framework here was adjusted also, with more crossbar support provided. Amidst the seating, the distinct stairs or dividers were cleared out, but the audience seems to avoid occupying the spots where they were. Speaking of which, the members of the audience differ between the versions. For 3DS, they consisted of red, green, and blue Shy Guys, green and blue Toads, some of Bowser's minions, and pink Birdo clones, with flash photography seen in the crowd. This effect in all attendees but the Shy Guys and Toads disappeared for Tour, but Yellow Toads and Koopa Troopas filled their spots. Everyone seems to have switched places now, introducing purple Toads in the seats and other spectators outside of the seating areas. Moving forward, one of the 2 trees on the right by the grandstand in the original was moved to the cliff in Tour. Meanwhile, the hexagonal wire mesh at the bridge became a diamond type. In addition, the arches were given circular bases, while the nearby Super Mushroom pillars were redesigned and recolored. Switching focus to the Toad balloons, the stakes below had rope wrapping around them in 7, but they were remade in Tour to have the rope threading through loops. The balloons themselves had hands forming fists with black and red mouths originally, but for the mobile update, they had simplified fists and red mouths. Now they have open hands, detailed mouths, and even seams added all over. It's almost like they could play a game of rock, paper, scissors with each other. Behold the power of Jungken Pong! The chevron signs were made just a bit different in Tour, and they were altered again for the latest update, with the 4 arrows now only 3. Likewise, the Mario Kart signposts receive a style change in Tour, becoming taller with a different font and no more Toad polka dots on the red type. The borders have since been modified a bit. Further ahead is the glide ramp, which had its tread plate markings lessened and edge altered in Tour, and the safety cones were pushed closer together. In the Switch version, the backplate has been replaced by an inactive arrow panel when lowered, while the safety cones have all become red and aligned single file. Looking up from here in Tour, we see that the railing posts are a little more spread apart compared to the original. The bridge column bases and alcove beams were given the same universal blue trim adjustment, but the walls to the sides and the top bridge element were made white. Beyond the underpass, the brown and gold brick blocks seen to the left were changed to orange and yellow simplified blocks. Meanwhile, the chevrons and main recess on the outside wall of the tunnel were moved down, and all other outside accents, except the updated trim, were removed. All chevrons inside the tunnel were cleared out too. Although the trees viewed from the openings remained in the same basic positions, Tour's camera attributes made their angles seem significantly different. The chamfered corners at the exit were filled with blue to match the trim. Emerging from the tunnel, it's clear that the trees near the garage building were uprooted, but mushrooms were added to correct the discrepancy seen on the map of the original design. The ramp texture on the other side was modified slightly, darker with no cuts in the dots, and the sand texture below was tweaked to no longer alternate in shading. One less MKTV van is seen behind the border just before the finish line. This vehicle concludes the list in the aesthetics section because it's untouchable. What an exclusive position! But the music for Toad Circuit isn't exclusive to the course. Shared with 3DS Mario Circuit for both 7 and Tour, it's a vivacious jazz funk, a genre common with the franchise's circuit themes. The A section in the original version has brass accents, especially just before the sectional transition. The B section has an organ lead with distortion guitar playing vague chording. It's a great piece representative of the Mario Kart brand. The arrangement is much like the source, but the percussion is notably more dynamic, with new drum fills throughout. From the beginning, a new guitar slide accompanies the altered drum lead-in. There's also a simpler bass line in the intro, with added transform pads here and beyond. The A section has the organ run the scale as a new accent ending the melodic phrases. Meanwhile, the B section has the distortion guitar unified with the organ for the melody instead of serving as chords. It's a simple but effective enhancement that respects the sound that Mario Kart provides. And that's about it for all changes we found in 3DS Toad Circuit. While this update remains simple in layout and doesn't offer any significant new experiences, it's very accessible and serves as a decent entry point for the DLC. But what do you think? Have you found any notable changes that we missed? Let us know in the comments below. And of course, stay tuned to GameXplain for more coverage of the Booster Course Pass for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and other things in Nintendo too. Thanks for watching. Until next time, ciao.